Me as an investor, rates don't really matter to me. It's the deal that really matters to me. How long do I really want to work my 9 to 5? And what ways can I create a retirement plan for myself? So how I looked at it was every property that I do acquire, if I don't touch the equity, that's a retirement plan for me. So if I sell out 20 years from now, that's a pension plan that I just created. So my 9 to 5 takes care of me, real estate takes care of itself, and then Airbnb takes care of like personal savings goals. And it's called the Local Law 18. Now, what it means is you can no longer host guests for less than 30 days. So now anyone that had an Airbnb, minimum stay now is 30 nights. Now, chances are if you're coming down for a weekend, you're not booking 30 days. You just need 2 days. So that's why they said Airbnb is essentially banned. It's not that you're kicked off the platform. It's just now those short-term rentals are now 30-day rentals. When it comes to real estate, if you start worrying about what could happen, what's gonna happen, you ain't gonna never start. Your best experiences is actually doing the work.
The views expressed are solely those of the individuals providing them and do not reflect the opinions of the Team Sock Passe podcasts or their respective affiliates or sponsors. This episode is sponsored by LS Cream, the perfect blend of spices and tradition inspired by Haitian cremas. Please drink responsibly.
Sock Passe, what's up, world? Welcome to another episode of the Team Sock Passe podcast. My name is Glad.
And I'm your boy, Rob. We are your favorite Team Sock Passe podcast show where we interview great entrepreneurs from all sectors of industry. Remember, 3 words: subscribe. You share, you comment below, subscribe, share, comment below. Glad, tell them.
Oh, man, we talking everything Airbnb today with our brother, Mr. Ainsley Emile. What's up, my brother?
What's going on? What's going on, fellas?
No doubt.
How you? Definitely doing well.
All right.
Hey, we appreciate you doing this, man. We're going to be talking about Airbnb. New York State just shut down the whole game on us.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Not
if
quite.
Know what you're doing.
All right, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, man.
Okay.
How you been, though, man? How was your week?
Doing well. The week wrapped up just on Fridays, did my 9 to 5 gig and all that, but now it's just, my weekend hustle. I do a lot of real estate work on the weekend, so.
Okay.
Let's talk about the real estate, man. It's very volatile right now. What's your take on that?
Honestly, I know everybody's going crazy about the whole interest rate and should I buy, should I wait? Me as an investor, rates don't really matter to me. It's the deal that really matters to me. So normally when I'm purchasing a property, it's all about what my entry level price is, what I'm gonna make out of the property. So the interest rate doesn't really factor too much because once I know I can get in, rehab, and get out, then it doesn't really bother me. So individuals that's trying to be a first-time home buyer or you trying to buy your dream home or whatever the case may be, that might factor. So your income and your price point, those are your comfort levels. But I buy distressed properties that the less desirable, So interest rate don't really factor for me so much.
So you're a patient investor.
I would say that. You could say that, but if the right one comes up, I'm all in.
Got you.
So how do you find your properties when you're going through like a distressed property? Are you like you going on site or like how?
Well, most of the properties I buy are on MLS, so
Okay.
There actually is deals on MLS. It all depends on who's your realtor. See, once you connect with a realtor that's either an investor or understands what you're looking for, they bring the right properties to you. So once you locate that, I actually go to every property. Sometimes I let my realtors go. They'll videotape or record whatever is available. But for the most part, I'm either kicking doors down, I'm walking through windows, because most of the distressed properties, they're boarded up.
Yeah,
There's no competition walking with me when I'm going to see these properties because nobody wants to walk in houses that have no steps. Those type of houses are the ones that that attracts me. So at this point in time, no property really scares me. So it's just about the numbers, really.
That's interesting. As someone who's got a 9-to-5 gig, what made you interested in getting into real estate, especially on the investor side?
Well, I think long game. You see, when you work a 9 to 5, most oftentimes, like at a young age, I was thinking retirement already. So how long do I really want to work my 9 to 5? And what ways can I create a retirement plan for myself? So how I looked at it was every property that I do acquire, if I don't touch the equity, that's a retirement plan for me. So if I sell out 20 years from now, that's a pension plan that I just created. So each property is like a pension plan sitting, waiting for it to mature at that date. When I'm ready to exit my 9 to 5, well, I done got accumulated 6, 7, 10 different pension plans, not to mention what my job is already offering me as well. So I just took the income and reinvested it and allowed it to double up. So I'm just taking the fruits of one labor and adding it to another so I could just continue building out my portfolio.
So there's a mentor of ours, and we had him on. You probably heard of him, Storm Leroy. He says he has a popular phrase that says, "Your job is your first business partner." So is that what you did with your first initial property as far as investing? Did you take how did you get your first initial funds to invest in that first property?
Oh yeah, my job is my first investor. So oftentimes you hear people say they hate their jobs. I mean, I might not love going to work every day, but I appreciate it. I respect it. So with that being said, the money that I received, I allocated it in the right place and I let it snowball till I was able to save enough to invest in my first property. And originally, my first property was just to move out of my mom's house. I didn't always want to be an investor. I just wanted to leave my mom's house. But once I realized I bought my first property and I was making money off of it, I'm like, I could probably do this again. But I realized New York's market was too rough. So I said, maybe Jersey. And I found a like-minded individual that we were on the same page and we did everything similar. And he was ready to buy his property at the time. He said, you know what? I'll sacrifice my personal and let's team up and let's just start building that way. And that's how I actually got my second. And then we went from there and got 3, 4, and then kept on going.
Sound like a Jude Bernard from like a Jersey version of Jude Bernard.
Jude's a smart man.
Jude's a smart man. Shout out to Jude Bernard. So we can take it back. So from New York.
Born and raised.
Born and raised in New York, Brooklyn?
Yeah, Brooklyn. Canarsie.
All right, that's what's up. So now, what was it like growing up where you were seeing like a lot of the real estate in your area in Canarsie?
See, when I was young, like I seen houses, but I didn't really study it until like probably when I was like in my teens. I saw my mom sell her first house, and then she took me to the closing. We sat at the table, and like, you know, my mom's Haitian American, so yeah, she understands English. She's been in the country for a long time, but a lot of the stuff I had to reread or make it make sense for her when we were purchasing the property. So I kind of learned the ins and outs at that closing table. That was my first experience, and I said I got to get back to that table one day. And from there, it was always a craving to get back to that table and purchase my own, because when you're a landlord, I felt like you're a boss, you know? People bring you money, you tell them how to live or how to, you know, what the rules and regulations of the house. So it was something I always craved, and then when I got my opportunity, I just jumped on it.
Nice.
So we visited your IG page, and you've got some amazing stories, like some crazy testimonials, man.
Big.
Big. You know, there was one with the squatters. You had a squatter story. There was one where, you know, you put in a lot of money into. Let's talk about that one. You put in a lot of money into this one property, and you didn't get any money out of it, or it took you a while for it to flip it. Can you talk about that one?
Well, I'm still currently in that project, if that's the one you're talking about.
Yes.
But, you know, a lot of people, I don't know if you've ever heard of hard money deals.
Yeah.
So normally it's a 12-month term. You purchase a property, you get a rehab budget. You have, 12 months to fix the property and get out. Like you've been hearing around in Instagram a lot now, in the news now, about these scammers and all this type of stuff. Unfortunately for me, I was introduced to a contractor. I actually saw his work. So I felt like that was enough vetting because I've seen his work. I've been to some of his properties, and a realtor that I worked with vouched for him, and come to find out, all the work he did for me was all bogus work. So imagine hiring a contractor and he says he's going to get your electrical done for you, your plumbing done. And he did all the work. But now me calling the city thinking I'm going to pass, and they're like, who did this work? And I'm like, oh, the contractor. They're like, oh, well, none of this is good at all. Like, this is like kids' work.
Mm-hmm.
Calling the contractor, he's nowhere to be found. So now I had to literally do every step over. And that's after 3 months of chasing, 4 months chasing the old contractor. And he's giving me all running that ups and downs. He's going to fix it. He's going to do that. So all of the money, imagine restarting a project from scratch. And we had months waiting on permits before the work even started. But how I see it, it's a lesson learned. And a lot of money was lost. But luckily for me and my team, we had already built a portfolio that could sustain a rough patch like that. So, we're getting through it now. And quite frankly, we had a small win. I call it a small win where we actually cleared all our permits. We passed all of them. So now we're actually wrapping up the project. Yesterday was my last inspection and everything was A-okay. So now we're just closing up and hopefully within the next month or two, the finished work will be done and I'll have the apartments all rented out and then we could just get into another project.
Yeah, wow.
It's not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's definitely not meant for everybody. Yeah. And you got to be careful because you don't know who you're hiring. And I, as much as I'm seasoned, what's the right way to vet someone? You don't even really know because if I went to your properties and you checked off, it's like, what happened? So it's a tough game.
Yeah, it is tough. It's interesting you say that because I know a lot of people that they hit a bump on the road and then all of a sudden they stop. They go cold turkey because they're like, this is what happened to me. I am not messing with this anymore. And at that time, like what was going through your mind? Did you want to give up at that time? Because you said it was about 3-4 months looking for this contract there. Like,
I mean, you want to give up at times because now it's like you're pouring all that you have in and you're not seeing no results. But at the same time, it's the long game. So once you think of the long game, it's like you start to figure out how can I escape this? How can I minimize the damages? And it just takes some brainstorming. It takes a lot of strategy and asking a lot of favors from other people in the industry to figure out how you can navigate out of that issue. So of course you have doubt, but you got to do what you got to do because I can't allow someone screw me over, so to speak, to cripple my business. So it's just pretty much buckle down and figure out what can we do to pull the resources to finish that particular project.
What's the landscape of Jersey looking like right now?
It's not what it looked like when I started. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I'd still invest, but the margins are less. Like just an example, when I started in Jersey, we was getting properties in the hundreds. Low twos. Now, the same exact quality of properties, they're going for fours, in the fours now. High threes, fours, and even in worse conditions. Now, the upside is that the value is more, but going in at a $400,000, your overhead is so much higher now. And then labor is higher, material is higher. So it's just a tough game. You just got to be able to negotiate and figure out how you can get in where you can fit in truthfully if you want to be an investor. But if you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't suggest someone buying a distressed property in this day and age, in this market right now.
What would you, I mean, as an investor, so what would you tell them to do? Just be patient or look other ways? You
could be patient, but you could look at other options too, because I've never wholesaled, but that's a way you can actually build, some more capital so that maybe you could later on invest. You could actually partner up with another individual, someone else that's probably done it already, so that, you're not all in by yourself. You have some, experience with you. But I don't like telling people to sit and wait too much because once you're ready, you're ready. And the only way to learn about this game is through experiences.
Got you. And when did Airbnb come into the play? Was that before you started investing in Jersey or after?
No, it definitely was after.
Okay.
I had a lot of experiences with long-term tenants.
Okay.
And then the Airbnb word was throwing around and everybody's talking Airbnb. Well, it wasn't as popular as today, but I was hearing about it and I had my bachelor pad, but I was always going back to my mom's house to eat, spending time by my mom's house and all that. And it was closer to my job. So my apartment was kind of vacant. So I said, you know what? If I'm going to try it, why not try it with my own apartment? I already had all the furniture. I had all the designs. So I was like, there's not much of a loss. And at that time too, the property I was going to use, it was already paying for itself without my unit. So I said, worst case, if it's a flop, it's no real loss.
Yeah.
So I tried it out. And of course, at first, you kind of nervous because these are all your personal items. That's about to, other people are going to get to use it. But, I had my little doubts and all that, but started off with a first booking and 2 bookings. I think my first month, probably got 2 bookings, but I don't regret it at all. I just took a chance. I didn't even read much about it. I logged on and I realized it was free to list it. And I just took pictures with my phone and just listed it and see what happens. And the rest is history from there.
How's the Airbnb space in Brooklyn?
It's great. It's great. I mean, now we have a little issues, a couple of the new laws, but prior, believe it or not, everyone's traveling. And what Airbnb offers is you get to have a kitchen now. If you book a hotel, you don't have a backyard space. You don't have a driveway. You're not having a full kitchen. You don't get living room spaces. So it's like everyone wants to have that more intimate kind of setting.
Right.
And be more in control versus having to check in and, at a certain time. Airbnb offers so much flexibility. So, I think Airbnb is always going to prosper in any area.
Yeah, like that whole Airbnb thing, that happened over the summer when New York kind of shut it down.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, because the hotel industry was hurting because of Airbnb, similar to Uber and the TLC. So what do you think about, where do you see that Airbnb? I know in Manhattan you can't really Airbnb, but people are still doing it. How do you?
You got
This is New York.
Tell us what happened.
This is New York, bro.
The thing is, there was always rumors that New York City was trying to create a ban or X, Y, and Z. It finally took effect September 5th this year.
Right.
And it's called the Local Law 18. Now, what it means is you can no longer host guests for less than 30 days. So now anyone that had an Airbnb, minimum stay now is 30 nights. Now, chances are if you're coming down for a weekend, you're not booking 30 days. You just need 2 days. So that's why they said Airbnb is essentially banned. It's not that you're kicked off the platform. It's just now those short-term rentals are now 30-day rentals. So now in order to get a short-term registration, you got to fill an application on the OSE, which is Office of Special Environment Enforcement. So with that being said, what they ask of you, they ask you to, one, the host has to live in the space with the guest or share the space with the guest. Also, they ask you minimum 2 guests. And lastly, what is it? Oh, no area in the house can be restricted. Pretty much like if you had let's just say you ever seen a mother-daughter unit where you could close off half and let the guest stay there and you're on one side. No, it has to be like a flowing apartment. And once you can meet those requirements, they'll allow you to host on the platform short-term rentals. Now, how do they find out or how do they approve you? Luckily for me, I was so persistent in emailing. Someone reached out back to me and come to find out she was the supervisor of that department.
Wow.
And then she literally, a very nice lady, she said to me, if you want your Airbnb back up and running, do X, Y, and Z, take a picture of it, and text me to my business phone. And literally within a day, my Airbnb was back up and running.
Wow.
So it's really just your profile you have to change because this is what they expecting of you. So I think they said about 40,000 Airbnbs was in New York, and only about 500 of them received that registration.
Wow.
Damn.
So it's pretty tough. And outside of that, if you are actually in a Class B dwelling unit, You don't have to do that. So certain buildings that have multi-dwelling units, they allow them to just continue hosting on Airbnb, but you have to. But if you're in a private home or you're renting an apartment, the requirements are ridiculous. So a lot of people lost their Airbnbs.
And the reason why they put this restriction or this new ban, correct me if I'm wrong, is it because the hotels are losing money, or
a lot of things came into factor. A lot of hotels were complaining. There were a lot of lobbyists, as well as they said the local neighborhoods, people filing complaints, calling the building department, saying that Airbnb is ruining their neighborhoods. As well, too, just I think back in July, when the reports came out, the average rent in Manhattan was $5,250.
Yep.
So they were trying to say that because of Airbnb taking away all these apartments, now that the supply is less, so now landlords are able to jack up the rental prices. So now them essentially banning Airbnb, all these apartments come back to the market, it'll regulate the average rent. So it's a lot of factors,
Gotcha.
but
Wow.
who's to say?
Yeah.
What's the real reason?
How many Airbnbs do you have currently?
I have 2. I was in the process of making a third one, and this happened. So now I'm pivoting a little bit. I may go out of state, but not really sure which direction I want to go in right now.
I was just going to ask you if you had any intentions of going. Yeah.
Let's talk out of state, only because we experienced it the last September and October. Something to consider. I don't know. I don't do Airbnb, but we went to ATL in September and October, and we were into two great Airbnb places, and we're driving by, right? We're driving by, and we're like, "Are we in the hood?" But then, as you're driving by, you see these nice houses, so it's like they're rebuilding the neighborhood. And when we get in the house, right, Rob, Joe, beautiful. Right. So maybe ATL is a place where you could consider to check out. Maybe Houston, I don't know, but ATL it seems like it's popping with Airbnb.
ATL would be. That's actually where I was starting to do it, but I ran into a couple small minor issues. Because the thing is, this is probably one of my flaws where I like to be hands-on. I like to be able to reach out and touch that property, even if I have it automated or I have people handling it. But once in a while, I want to stop in, and not be limited to catching a flight. So ATL is a location because I have some good resources out there where I can get it going. It's just, I don't want to throw too much money too far away and then I can't really study it too much. So.
What other places were you looking at or are popping right now that you've been hearing
about?
What
I would do with Airbnb?
Yeah.
ATL was mainly, I've heard of Houston is great, but I've never been there. But ATL is really like my main niche. And believe it or not, I actually have an idea to do one in Paris.
Wow.
And, it's not a long shot because I have a unit out there. So it's something I'm possibly going to explore. But that's in the next couple months. Okay.
So now, taking care of these Airbnbs, how are you handling that? The 2 Airbnbs that you have now.
I have a cleaner, and everything else is automated.
Okay, explain that.
So there's a lot of apps out there that helps you automate your Airbnb, but honestly, I just use the Airbnb platform because Airbnb allows you to set up all your scheduled messages. And like I made my house friendly. So for the most part, I have cameras from all entryways and doorways. So my cleaner and we both monitor the people coming in and coming out so I can see it. As well, we have smart locks. So I don't have to physically be there. I have house manuals. So the house manual reiterates everything that the app also already tells you. So there's preset messages. So if you go on Airbnb now and you book my place, automatically a message comes to you and it tells you, thank you for booking the place. We appreciate, we're looking forward to you. Any special requests, let us know. The night before you book at 6 p.m., automatically a message goes out to you. I don't have to let it know. It just sends it to you. It tells you any special requests. If you're trying to come in early, here's the early check-in fee. If you're trying to come in late, check out late, here's what the fee is. If you're looking for parking, here's your options. Then you feed me back whatever you need. That depending on the keywords you use, my automated will also respond, or I'll just see it and I'll just let my cleaner know. But my cleaner also has access to my Airbnb app. So the day you check in or an hour before you check in, you get your check-in instructions.
Mhm.
And in the event something were to happen and maybe my smart locks are not working, there's a failsafe where I have actual lockbox with the hard set key where you could actually enter. So like I travel often, so I'm often not around, but my Airbnb operates on its own. And literally every time someone checks out, a cleaner comes in, cleans, ready for the next guest.
Are you using these funds for these excess funds because you're already well invested in Jersey?
Yes.
Are you using these Airbnb funds?
R&B. Yeah.
Airbnb funds. Are you using these funds for more so for lifestyle or to invest into more businesses?
I mean, for the most part, my 9 to 5 handles my personal lifestyle.
Okay.
Everything else, now the real estate takes care of itself. Airbnb is actually handling more so my personal, savings. Like for my daughter, I just recently had a daughter.
Congrats.
And
Congrats.
thank you, appreciate that. So I use my funds to actually invest in a UTMA. I'm building other, investment accounts. And then if I ever have to, once those items are maxed out,
Mhm.
then I can use the funds other areas. But my main focus is make sure she's good. So my 9 to 5 takes care of me, real estate takes care of itself, and then Airbnb takes care of like personal savings goals.
Very nice.
Interesting.
I love the breakdown.
Yeah,
Smart man.
for sure.
Smart man. What any disasters you've had? Any stories you've had in the Airbnb space that's just like, damn, I should just give it up now.
I wouldn't say story I would give it up, but I've had some stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I've gotten tricked by young kids before where they booked a place and they're like, oh, we just come, it's my birthday. This one kid, he was kind of like straight for us, hey, it's my birthday, but I'm going to have like 5 people over. Is it cool? I'm like, sure, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed some activity. If you say you're going to have 5, and this is early on, so I was kind of stalking my Airbnb a little bit more through the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 5, 6, 7 guests, I could let you get away with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then it was like, I saw the traffic kind of moving up back and forth. But then I got a message on Airbnb for a random date. And it was like someone else saying, hey, just so you know, they're going to throw an Airbnb throw a party at your place today and they're going to wreck it. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
why would someone randomly text me saying they're going to throw a party? So I figured automatically that person probably didn't get invited or they're just hating or whatever. So now I started monitoring it closely, but I had a friend of mine that actually works for NYPD. So what I said to him was, yo, you still at work? And he was just getting off of work. So I said, yo, I need a huge favor. I know you're probably not supposed to do this. I need to just stop by the property as if you are the cops on duty and say what's going on to break it all up. So by the time we got there, it was probably about 40 kids in the place.
Wow.
So luckily it was just starting. So we were able to shut it down. But before the end of the night, I promise you, we probably had 100 kids.
What?
Outside, ringing every doorbell on the block like, where's the party? Where's the party? And things like that you don't want because my Airbnb's in the residential neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So to have 100 kids and they're bringing bottles, they're bringing all types of double parked cars.
Yeah.
So that was like probably my scariest thing. But luckily for me, it didn't actually happen. And then what's crazy is there was flyers.
Wow.
So it was planned out. And then
That's crazy.
and then like a day later, the police called me and said, hey, are you the owner of such and such property? Because we've been seeing flyers all week. I forgot. It might have been like a Labor Day week or like they booked 3 nights and they were supposed to have a party every night.
Wow.
So, it was like the real police were a day late. But luckily for me, I caught on. But outside of that, I probably had some broken beds and certain other smaller items that's been broken. But with Airbnb's insurance policy, I've made pretty good with that.
Okay. So they take care of those damages. And
Yeah,
stuff like
once you can prove that it wasn't damaged prior and that it was this particular guest. And when I say prove, they know if this person checks in and then this is now damaged, it had to have been that recent guest because the previous guest didn't complain. And then once you can provide receipts,
Mhm.
and they'll reimburse you for the most part.
How do you prevent something like that with the whole kid situation?
At that time, my pricing was probably real favorable, so I felt like that was early on. So I was kind of fishing for reviews.
Mm.
So I kind of priced it low to get more reviews to then kind of build my,
Mm-hmm.
my value up. So outside of that, I don't, it comes with the business because, you just never know who is going to, pull a fast one on you. But, I usually ask when people say they're coming around holidays, I usually, hey, is your intentions to throw a party?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking to do a small event? Like, around Thanksgiving, I noticed like people are hitting me up for Friendsgiving.
Mm.
Even that might be a calmer setting.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to protect your asset. Too many people, drinks get involved. Before you know it, spills, damages. You want to, avoid any of that. So
So I was gonna ask you about the whole screening part because you said it started out with 4 friends
mhm.
and now it turned into 100. So how do you do your screening when if there is an Airbnb open? Okay, cool. It's 3 of us. We're throwing a party, but I'll tell the owner, yeah, it's just a small little gathering. But then it's really like, how do you,
Well, see, the thing is, Airbnb does the screening for me because normally to be on the Airbnb platform, you have to have certain criteria to actually to book.
Right.
So the screening is done through Airbnb. Now, I don't allow guests under 25. So now sometimes if someone's younger than 25, I usually ask them for a copy of the ID or whatever. It's just so I have proof that this is the individual that stayed, depending on what the purpose of their stay. Because I ask a lot of questions. I go in depth when it comes to that. But, people can always pull a fast one on you. But my cameras are loud and my cameras are placed all in the, the public areas where, the areas that you're allowed to put them in. So I can make sure that, I know who's coming in, who's not coming out. And then also I have a tenant of mine that lives in one of the units, and we built a close bond where he lives there, so he's gonna protect his own home too. So if he feels, he'll shout me out and say, hey,
okay,
look into this.
Okay.
What you've got where's your other location now for your Airbnb?
2 is in one unit, or 2 is in one house.
Oh, 2 is in one house.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Okay, because I was gonna ask if you're in Long Island at all, because I know
No, it's a 3-family.
It's a 3-family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you be interested in doing anything in Long Island?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would. Long Island, but Long Island caters to a different crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And what I say that is, what's out in Long Island to do?
Golfing, pool, things of that nature. A cousin of mine does Airbnb, and a lot of her clients, they go play not pool, they go play golf. They go golf.
So
they go golfing.
What's that? The average our demographics don't often come out to play golf.
True.
So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you would cater to a different crowd and more true vacationers versus someone coming in for a conference meeting, someone catching a game, the local concert. I got a lot of people that come in because they go into Barclays Center. No one's going to go to Long Island to go to Barclays Center. Right. That's too far of a drive. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if you're going into the city, you might stay in Long Island, but if you're in Long Island, you got to get a car. Gotcha. If you got a car, then chances are you're not taking a mass transit or you're not driving into the city. So I don't mind having a variety. Now, when it comes to Long Island, it all depends. What's my numbers? Mm-hmm. What's my overhead going to be? Am I going to make enough for it to make sense?
Yeah.
And what I know Brooklyn is expensive, so can you give us a price range as far as like what your Airbnb a night is?
$200, $225 a night.
Okay.
One is 200, one is 225. But that's because over time, I started off at $89 a night, I think. And my goal is $274 a night. I might not hit it there. Mm-hmm. But I knew that my mindset was, if I make $275 a night, that's $100,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
But if I have 2 units making $200, I'm gonna hit the 274 regardless.
Wow.
And
So originally my
that's-
goal was 274 for one unit a night. So once I realized 274 might be too high for one, either way, one way you look at it, and right now I'm at about 70% booking rate on one, and the other one's about 89 last month booking rate. So I'm booking majority of my stays 27 days a month, 28 days a month.
And you're already starting to book for 2024 already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like December, I probably have 7 days open right now for December, and I already have about 13 days booked in January.
Wow. We gotta get an Airbnb. We gotta get an Airbnb, Rob.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We gotta get an Airbnb.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
definitely-
awesome cash flow.
It sure is.
And what's the payout from Airbnb after the guests?
Airbnb charges the host 3%.
Okay.
So on every $100, I make 97.
Okay.
And the guests, they charge them 14%. So if you're, a traveler, in total, you're paying about 17% on the whole transaction.
Okay.
So as a host, 3% of whatever your nightly rate plus cleaning fee is really nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why from day one, I thought Airbnb was like a no-brainer versus the other apps like Vrbo. They charge about 5% to the host. And as well, there's a 3% transaction fee.
Okay.
And then they charge the guest anywhere between 6 and 12%. So they come out spending almost 20% total. So it's about 3 to 4% higher than Airbnb in total for the guests. But I spend too much on Vrbo, or at least the fees are a lot more.
Now, your properties that you have in Jersey, how come you're not doing Airbnb with those as opposed to long time?
Well,
rental?
recently I was going to list one of them as an Airbnb guest and then on the Airbnb platform, but then I changed my mind because I know what type of customers,
Demo. Yeah.
the demographics over there is like a lot. It's not so friendly, and in the areas I'm in, it's the hood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in South Jersey, so I don't want to attract the wrong crowd, and I have tenants living already, long-term tenants. So I don't want to scare my long-term tenants, and at the same time, I don't want to damage what I've already built. So
Gotcha.
had I had no 9 to 5 and I could have been more hands-on, I probably would have tried it out because I'm certain, even at $100 a night, it'd have been more profitable.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes you got to kind of weigh it and see what makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, just stick with the long-term tenants.
Here's a question for you. How far are you, or do you plan on quitting your day job one day?
Yeah, I got an end date.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm pretty far in. So I figure if I'm this far in, why not continue? I'm 17 years in. So.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I'm focused on the other things that I got going on, but I still respect it.
Okay.
So if I could keep pushing, why not?
Why not? Gotcha.
So how do you schedule your time? I know you said you do your real estate on the weekends, but with Airbnb during the week, there's situations like how do you?
I get that question almost every day.
Yeah.
I get that question almost every day. And it's like, I guess I'm fortunate, I'm lucky. Because me and my partners, we all work jobs. And, once I went automated on the Airbnb, like my cleaner, he handles the majority of it. If anything, Airbnb is probably on my phone. Once in a while I stop in, look at what's going on or whatever the case may be. And like I said, I have a tenant that kind of protects the house too. So it's like I got a lot of good things working in my favor. Out in Jersey, I got a contractor that works for me. And I built a small team. So as we got for example, that hard money project I spoke to you about, we handling that. But if I have a problem in house 1 or house 2, I'll call my main contractor and tell him, hey, listen, go check this out. While the guys are working, check this out for me. Or check that out for me. So it's like he's overseeing everything for me. So he's like a super in a sense, while he's already handling the bigger projects for me. So, and outside of that, unless things get crazy, I go out there on the weekends and just check on everything.
Got you. Now, is that same super, does he help you deal with the squatter issues?
He's a little scary. So the squatters, I got to handle myself.
You got to handle yourself. Okay.
Definitely got to handle myself. That squatter thing, believe it or not, we bought the house with the squatter.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a short sale.
Mm-hmm.
So from the jump, I knew the squatter was there.
You knew what it was.
You know what I mean? And normally a short sale could take 6 to 10 months to close.
Mm-hmm.
So from before, I was ready to negotiate with him, talking to him, and he wasn't really trying to budge or whatever. But by the time we acquired the property, I worked the deal out with him. I was like, yo, listen, I gave you, before we bought the house, I told you, find a job, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I probably collected 1 month of rent from him. But then eventually we was able to, use our street tactics to get him out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Crazy.
What was like, other than the squatter, what was like one of your most challenging scenarios, like in real estate?
I probably had all types of challenges because like contractors stealing probably $300,000
Yeah.
from me.
300,000.
300,000 is,
That's wild.
you don't come back from those type of numbers.
That's wild.
Bro.
You know, that's been challenging.
That's wild, man.
You face all different types of things because even that short sale I told you, we saw it, got excited, but didn't think it was going to take 6 to 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
No one educates you on that.
Mm-hmm.
So waiting for that house took forever. And the thing, another challenge is to understand, like I said, I have my own personal contractor because I'm a licensed contractor in New Jersey. So I have a team underneath my contractor. But when you don't have a property to give them work, what happens to these guys? You lose them.
Yeah. There you go.
So that's a challenge you often facing because you go to work, you got to give them work too,
Yeah.
or you're gonna lose them.
Mm-hmm.
So always trying to provide them with work, dealing with the tenants because I don't have a property management company. We manage it ourselves. So when you have so many tenants hitting you up, all little issues, whether it's noise complaints, plumbing issues, leak issues, and anything gonna. I look at my phone, I might have 5, 6, 7 messages. I've been fortunate enough that nothing crazy, but I can't even say nothing crazy. I've had fires, but it's always ended up working out in some form or way in our favor.
Got you.
So, but like I said, when it comes to real estate, if you start worrying about what could happen, what's gonna happen, you ain't gonna never start. Your best experiences is actually doing the work, investing. So once you get rolling, you're gonna find a way, whether it's money, raising capital, whether it's a problem, you're gonna figure it out.
You're gonna figure it out. That's good advice for somebody who's trying to get in. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to get into Airbnb? What would be the good ideal situation for them?
Researching the market first. Find out where you're trying to invest. If it's Brooklyn, understand what or New York, understand what the new laws require. Read up on that, figure it out, and then attack. But if it's out of state, I think it's a little bit easier. But then figure out what your overhead is going to be and create a legitimate budget, all in. Because you're going to have to furnish the property. You're going to have to make sure you have reserves because you don't know what the market is going to give you. You could read up and see what other people are making. But what's going to make your apartment appeal to that new guest coming or that person traveling to the city? So once you could address those few issues, I say go all in because Airbnb has only been positive for me. Through all my ups and downs, I would do it over and over and over again. Because I actually like that side of real estate probably. I'm not going to say nah. I probably like to invest in more. But either way, all of real estate, I enjoy it. It's just, you just got to figure out where you fit in or do everything. Do a little of everything.
What's the type of clientele you get for your Airbnbs? Are they like you get a lot of nurses, a lot of
In the pandemic,
The traveling nurses.
I caught a lot of, I had actually 2 nurses, but one of them just kept on renewing her contract every 13 weeks. And in the pandemic, somebody gave me wind and said, yo, they get paid crazy money. So I had a friend of mine that was working with a nurse, and she said they were getting paid like $12,000 a week.
Wow.
So when I was like, well, average rent is $1,500 when I was renting the unit. And I was like, I was probably making like $3,000 on Airbnb at the time. So I was like, well, I was like, yo, $3,500. And she's like, "Oh, I'll pay 3 months up front."
Wow.
I was like, "Oh shit, maybe I
Yeah.
lowball myself a little bit."
She
But
jumped in right away.
right away.
That's
So,
what's up.
Yeah.
but so the pandemic was a blessing in disguise too, because
Mhm.
I didn't know that was gonna come. And if I was looking to invest during the pandemic, I probably wouldn't have jumped into it because traveling worldwide was affected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's always opportunity out there. You just got to be out there searching for it.
Mm.
You know?
Powerful stuff. man.
Where do you see yourself with your company in about 5 years from now?
I hope not even hope, we'll be doing commercial real estate.
Okay.
I'm looking for like 50, 100 units. That's the direction.
Mhm.
I want to develop as well. I missed a couple opportunities out in Newark on buying land, but I got a piece of land in Florida, so I'm looking to develop that within the next 5 years.
Mhm.
Probably well before that. It'll probably be like a vacation rental or some kind of sort.
Mhm.
And it'll be like a fail switch. So like everything that I do, like if I develop that property, when I develop it, I'll probably rent it out because I'm not ready to move to Florida.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But it'll serve as a property that later on my child could have. Or if I decide to spend a weekend in Florida, I have it with his family. So my goal truly is to go to all my favorite cities, acquire properties, leave them out for rent. But when I'm in town, I have a place to stay.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
And how about you said you had a spot in Paris?
Yeah, my sister's old apartment, but she's had it for like 30 years. So it's like, it's dirt cheap.
That's what's up.
Is there you got
She's paying like 400 euros, which is like $450 US dollars. It's a 4-bedroom.
4-bedroom?
Yeah.
4-bedroom.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you rent it out or like
No. It's hers,
It's her, okay.
but it's available to me.
Okay.
Oh, it's
Gotcha.
available to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So
have
it's
to,
an-
you have to break her off a little bit something.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, with the market, it's not even a matter of, you gotta understand something. A power of empowerment where
Mm-hmm.
if you're my eyes out there,
Mhm.
if you're gonna oversee it, it could be 50-50.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if I could promise you residual income monthly,
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Why not? It makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So
That makes sense.
it becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, powerful information, man. We really appreciate you. We got the secret question. You gotta do it too, bro.
Secret question.
You gotta do it too, my brother. Every guest gotta do it. Oh, go ahead. Just pick one question. Not relating to the topic of the night.
Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's up. What's this say right here? What's one bad thing people say about you? Put this here. I probably say, you know what? People say I'm blunt because I'm real straightforward. Like my delivery is probably
You
could
got the
come
crowd
off.
there. You got somebody-
I could come off a little tough because sometimes, I mean what I say sometimes because I expect a lot
Mm-hmm.
and I'm on go time, you know what I mean? And so sometimes my delivery could probably shake a few people, but if you close enough, you understand what my intentions are and what I'm trying to get to. So it's like,
No fluff.
yeah, no, definitely no fluff. Like I'm gonna kick it to you straight.
Got you.
Mm,
That's
Nice.
what's up, man.
nice.
Yo, we really appreciate this. You put us on game with the Airbnb, not R&B, but the Airbnb industry. We really appreciate you, man. We definitely gonna be watching what you've been doing. You changing the game, man, especially for them young cats out there for sure. Just keep pushing. You got Jersey on lock for sure.
Oh, we're working on that for sure.
Let people know where they can find you for more information, man.
If you're looking for me, Instagram, boss_fly. My Twitter's the same too, I believe, and my TikTok. But for most part, all my information is on Instagram. You'll see how start to finish, how I do all my properties, develop them. And if you want to tap in, go on the bio, hit me for a consultation, and we can just get this thing going.
Yeah, it
And
is.
before we leave, talk about the logo on the shirt, on the house.
On the house, that's the name of my company right here. It's my real estate company.
Nice.
We do everything under the roof, pretty much. So we could teach you how to develop, which is what we do, but we do it like on a smaller scale where it's like distressed properties, gut it all out, renovate. We teaching people how to invest. I've actually helped over 10 of my personal friends buy their first homes.
Nice.
From start to finish. Teach you how to do LLC formations. We teach everybody how to do anything that you want to know when it comes to real estate. But what I ask people is create action steps and go for it.
So you got a good community. That's what's up, man.
That's good.
On
That's
the
good.
house.
On the house.
Check out Ainsley. Check him out. He's doing big things.
Yes.
Rob, housekeeping items.
Housekeeping items. Remember, Team Sock by Say on all your listening platforms. Team Sock by Say on YouTube. Remember, also subscribe, share, comment. Thank you for the sponsors, to our sponsors. Roots of Brooklyn, we appreciate you. Sweet 100. And our biggest sponsor, of course, LS Cream. LS Cream, we want to say thank you. LS Cream, you liked it?
Oh, definitely. It was good.
All right.
No
It's
doubt.
smooth.
Haiti
That's what's up.
representing.
Yes, sir. All right, man.
Hey, Team South by Say.
We out.
LS Cream, the perfect blend of spices and tradition inspired by Haitian cremas. Please drink responsibly.
Beat.